This week's Torah portion, Rebbe, all about the blessings and the curses, right? We're going to go into the land of Israel. On one mountain, we're going to be offered all the blessings if we're good boys and girls. On another mountain, we're going to be offered all the curses if we are bad boys and girls. And it's all about the choices we make and the power we have to decide, do we go this way, do we go that way? And it seems like it couldn't be a better Torah portion for the start of the month of Elul, the month of Tshuva. This reminds me of a beautiful story I once heard about the Rebbe Lubavitch, told by Rabbi Yoel Cohen, one of the closest, perhaps the most close person to the Rebbe Lubavitch. Rabbi Yoel Cohen tells, he was giving a lot of shiurim in New York, Rabbi Yoel, of course, and there was once an Ilui, right, this brilliant scholar who loved studying Talmud but wasn't really into studying Chassidut. And despite that, he came to Rabbi Yoel one day and says, please get me a meeting with the Rebbe, I have a private problem and I think he'll be able to solve it. Rabbi Yoel Cohen tries, nothing for the next few months. The yeshiva buch is persistent, says, I really need this meeting, even if it's for a short while. Rabbi Yoel Cohen is persistent, tries as well, comes back to the guy and says, guess what, I got you 3 to 4 minutes, that is it. A minute longer and we're going to be kicked out. The guy says, no problem, the Rebbe will for sure be able to solve it in less than that, if not a bit more. He walks in, the guy's in there for an entire hour. The guy, Chodov I think is his name, the guy in charge of the Yechiduyot with the meetings one-on-one is about to bust. An hour the Rebbe gives this guy, despite only being given 3 to 4 minutes, he gives him an hour. Everyone's waiting, the guy walks out. He says to Rabbi Yoel Cohen, thank you for the meeting, but I'm never stepping in 770 again. What happened? Doesn't want to tell him, disappears. Doesn't see him for 15 years. 15 years later he sees him. I'm giving you a long story short. Basically, the Rebbe gave him advice. He didn't tell him what the problem was to the Rabbi Yoel Cohen, but the Rebbe gave him advice, something to do with you need to study Torah properly. You need to study it in the way of Pnimius. You need to give it a few hours a day, because when you really study Torah the right way, you're actually letting God speak to you, because God and Torah are one. And the guy didn't accept the advice and kept on in his life. Years go by, and he's successful, he's married, but he misses Torah like he used to, he doesn't study anymore, and one day he gets a pamphlet that there's a big Itvaduta gathering at 770, so the guy goes, he says, he remembered that time he met the Rebbe and said, I have nothing to lose, I might as well go. The moment he walks into the gathering, he hears the Rebbe interpret the following verse. It's a verse from the book of Samuel, which says, V'lo yisa Elokim nefesh v'chashav, basically a verse that says, God spares no one. No one gets out of God's system of divine providence, and the way the Rebbe interpreted this verse in that gathering was that God makes sure that if we chose, the curse instead of the blessing, God will always make sure to put us upon junctions and intersections in our lives to be able to choose again, make that decision, do we go for the curse or the blessing? And that guy says to Rabbi Yoel Cohen, the moment I walked in there, I didn't know if when the Rebbe said that miraculously he was talking to me, but I chose so because it felt like it, because it fit. And the reason I like this story is because that guy is living in a given moment, he gets in a piece of information, and he chooses to interpret it by means of blessing as opposed to curse. It's like every day we get all of these bits of information, we have to analyze and decide, are we going to take it for the more positive or for the negative? And it's a beautiful story about a guy who 15 years later goes in and decides to take something regardless of miracle, not miracle, but simply deciding to take the information the right way. And when you think about it, when you think of Judaism, right, Judaism has many mystical characters that always go forward in time to help people, right? We have Moses that goes forward to Rabbi Akiva, we have Eliyahu and Avi that goes forward to help different, and enlighten different scholars. No one ever goes back in time. Because going back is irrelevant. Because all that's relevant is the now and where we are headed. And that is why God will keep making sure that we get, and that's what Re'eh I think is about in this story. Re'eh is about intersections. In Elul is the time to remember that God will always give us another intersection to choose. Do I go for the blessing or for the curse? It'll never be too late because God will always give us those chances. Thoughts on Re'eh? Shabbat Shalom.